All right. My name's Luca. I'm one of the co-founders of Passwave. And what I'm going to do today is start getting one of my tasks actually reviewed. So we showed how to submit a task before. We explained what a terminal bench task was. Now we're going to go through the review process. First thing you're going to want to do to get your tasks reviewed is join Discord. So this is just a completely new account I've just created now. All I've done is I've logged into Discord with my new Discord user. Look, you can even see my new Discord user. It's got nothing, right? Completely blank. Nothing here. And I've uploaded my resume. And then I've gone ahead and I've applied for the TB Bench project. And so that's the only project that I'm in. Everyone should be able to hit this state really easy. First thing we do, possibly the most important thing to do, is to join the Discord server. So hit join server. It'll come up with a bunch of links, accept invites, and allow. And here we go, right? Now we have been added to the Passwave developer server. Looks kind of empty. You can see there are a lot of people here online doing things. You can probably even see my account here. I'm not going to tell you who it is, otherwise you'll spam me. And so the first thing you do is you want to click this button here, and that'll create a ticket for you. I'll put my GitHub username here. And okay, this is my ticket. So this ticket will allow me to communicate with the organizers, and it'll also allow the organizers to communicate with me. So if you're stuck, you have any issues, something's not quite right, you can talk to people here. So for instance, you can find someone who's online and has a reviewer tag, like let's say Zenitsu, and you can ping Zenitsu. You can say, hi, Zenitsu. Right? And then you can ask him questions. Now, Zenitsu is very busy. He's a very busy guy. He's doing a lot of busy things, so he may not respond right away. But this is where you can get some sort of human assistance. Once people have approved you in your ticket, and they've said, yep, this person's trustworthy, we like them, you'll be able to see more servers where there's a lot of other people you can talk to and get assistance from. So this is the first thing, right? Make sure that you get all this working. Okay, ticket sorted. Now we go back. So we go back to Terminal Bench, and if we refresh, it should show us that we've now joined Discord. Yeah, see, it's the option's not there anymore. Now it's time to submit a task. We kind of already know how to do this. We have to have a task already locally on our machine. So this is a task I made. In the other videos, we talk about how to make a good task, but just briefly, it has the instructions. So it says, there's some SQLite databases and some WAL files, and, there's some integrity issues. You have to sort them out. Write a PHP program that sorts it out. There's like details on exactly what the PHP program has to do. And then we have the environment, which is a Docker file. And it's just like a pretty basic Docker file. And then we have build, which is over here. And this creates all the databases and all like the strange misconfigurations and all the issues that have to be dealt with. And the Docker file, it'll run build, right? So the Docker file in here, it'll run this build. I'm just describing to you a task that I've already created. It's really a good task in my opinion. Then we have our solution, solve.sh. This is the PHP file that will actually correctly solve this. Great. It's the golden solution we have to provide. Then there's the task.toml. This is some metadata. Don't worry about the metadata too much. And then we have the tests, which will confirm if we've actually done things correctly. Ignore test.sh. The actual tests are always in here. So you can see this is all actually Python code. It'll test various things. So, okay, I've got my task. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's complete. Here it is. I'll copy the path right here. So submit first task, we'll call it example. And we'll go ahead and see if we can find it here in. Okay, all the files made it, very nice. And there's no showstoppers here. There are some warnings, but nothing too bad. So, okay, we go to review, submit task, and it'll automatically start running a battery of automated tests. Now, this can take a long time if your task is good. So if your task is bad, a very simple test will immediately find something wrong with it and flag you and stop you in the next 5 minutes. But if your task is good, and also if a lot of other people are submitting tasks at the same time, the very hard, the heavy, long-running tests will have to actually occur. And that can take a long time. So this is something, you'll have to actually wait a bit. If you're worried and you think, oh, maybe something's gone wrong, it's been like, 3 hours and I still haven't seen any results, then you go into your ticket in Discord and then ping someone and be like, hey, it's not working. Ping, I don't know, just like ping a bunch of people. Be like, hey, it's not working. Help me. Okay, we don't have to wait like 2 hours before I can show you the next bit. So I'm going to switch accounts to an account that I have that has actually a lot of submissions already. And we're going to go and use that one. Alrighty, so here are my prepared earlier tasks. Let's have a look at them. And before we look at the bad one, let's look at the good one. Let's look at a task that passed. So this is Luca Test 4. It's excellent. It's a beautiful task. You can see all of the little files that I uploaded here. Let's start with this thing called pipeline status. What is this? This tells us what stages actually have happened so far. A tick doesn't mean the stage has passed successfully. It just means the stage has happened. So you may see a tick here, and then the agent review, you look at it, and the agent review is like, screw you, you suck. So watch out for that. Okay. Files. Great. This is for making changes. So if tests fail, we'll have to upload new files and make changes and then go through this pipeline again. Hopefully we don't have to do that. And now we'll look at check results. So this basically is where the automated checks live. So automated checks here, this is the thing that runs for ages. This is where it lives. Now, you'll see like a lot of different drop-downs, and a lot of them will be really hard to interpret. Like, what is all this stuff? This seems like a huge wall of text. The only ones that you care about are the ones that start with full check v2 passed. The rest are like sort of random admin stuff. Don't worry about them for now. So it looks like there were 2 checks that happened. There was one here, and then I made some changes, and then another one here at about like 4 hours later, something like that. So what does this mean? Well, what happens is we do this automated check, and then we give the output of the automated check to the AI agent that we have on the back end. And it does final assessment, and it says, okay, I'm looking at the output. Is this a good task? Do we allow this task to be given to a human reviewer or not? If full check v2 passes, then probably the agent will say, yes, it's good. If full check v2 fails, the agent will probably say, no, it's bad. So ultimately, the only thing that matters is the AI agent, but the AI agent pretty much always just follows the way that full check v2 goes. Okay, so let's talk about what actually happens in a full check v2. This is the hardest thing that you'll have to deal with, by the way. The human review afterwards, that can be hard to get past, but full check v2 is a very extensive battery. And if your task passes it, then your task is probably a pretty damn good task. So this is probably where you'll spend most of your time. Okay, so let's look at the checks. The way it works is each of these checks runs, and essentially as soon as we get to a fail, we stop. The reason is that some of the later checks are like very, very expensive. They take like an hour to run sometimes. Maybe a bit less, maybe like half an hour. So we try to save time by failing early. Okay. So first thing, basic check. This is just like a basic formatting check. You'll almost always pass this because we don't even let you upload new files unless the basic formatting checks pass. So this is almost always going to pass. Oracle. This is covered in a different video at great length, but just briefly, what the Oracle is it's the golden solution that you provide yourself. And we run this instead of an agent and see if that causes the tests to pass. And if the tests do pass, then the Oracle has succeeded. So that's the Oracle. It's just an agent that runs literally your solve.sh. And the whole point of running the Oracle is to confirm that, yep, this golden solution that you provided us actually does pass the tests that you set for it. Quite often this will fail for newer participants. So this is like something really important to get working. Then there's the knob. And this is a no-op. So rather than running the solution, we actually just run a no-op that does literally nothing. And of course, we'd expect the tests to fail in a no-op, because otherwise your tests are completely useless and they always pass. So this is just a little test that we do. So in terms of these two, I would recommend running these locally yourself to confirm that your task is actually good before making a submission, because it'll save you a lot of time. Okay, then there's a similarity check. We search online for plagiarism or inside our internal database of tasks, also for plagiarism and for diversity. So if your task is a lot like someone else's task, then this will fail. And then there's test quality. This one's a little bit harder. So often people write bad tests and then it'll get to the human and the human will read the test. The human will say, these tests are garbage, we have to throw it back. And that's wasted everyone's time. So we do a little check to make sure the tests are actually good. What is a good test? A good test is one that is not brittle. So quite often we'll have people making tests that they just check for like exact string patterns in, say, an output file to confirm that something's been done correctly. That's often brittle and it's easy to cheat. So what instead we want is we want tests that actually, let's say in your solve.sh you write a Python script. We want your test to then import that Python script in the test itself. Or like the test should write a little Python script that imports your one and then runs that little Python script inside the test. Or maybe the whole task is to make the Python script into a command line interface, and that way the tests can run the command line interface a few times with different inputs. Those kind of tests, where we actually run your code, they're way better. And so those kind of tests will usually pass this test quality. But other tests where you just do like little brittle string checks on outputs, those probably won't pass. Harbor checks. Now, there are like 7 of these. The main things these test for is 1, everything in your task, has it actually been tested? So let's say you have like 4 different requirements in your task, but one of them isn't tested at all in the tests. Well, then you'll probably fail the harbor check. Similarly, if there are tests in your tests that test for things that aren't even asked for in your instruction, like, you ask to build an SQL parser, and there's a test in there about it also parsing JSON, which is never mentioned. It's like, oh, okay, that's bad. And so that's the kind of thing that we'll check for in the harbor check. Okay, so then we have 2 runs. We have a small run and a large run. And what this is it's a way of determining how difficult your task is. So what we do is we'll get a small model, a small agent, like a small weak agent, and ask it, hey, try to solve the task. And we would expect, because we want a certain difficulty threshold, we would expect the small agent to fail every single time. So this is what happens here, right? The small agent fails every time. That's good. That means your task is too hard for the small agent. That's really good. Next, we have the large run. This is where we get a large agent, like a very strong, modern, state-of-the-art agent to try your task. We want this large agent to pass at least once. And the reason is that if a large agent can solve your problem, if it's possible to be solved, then it means your task is actually solvable. Because a lot of people will give us tasks that are actually impossible. They'll have like conflicting requirements or like tests that, they're secretly testing something that was never mentioned in the instruction or something like that. So until we can get a large model to actually solve your task at least once, we can't even really trust that you've done a good job. So this is why we do the large run. So yeah, you want at least 1 pass on the large run, and you want no passes on the small run. Ideally, no passes on the small run. And then we'll know your task is the correct difficulty. Okay, and ideally you also want like a really high command count. If it takes the large agent lots of commands to solve your problem, it means your problem's kind of hard. So that's good. Okay, so those are all the checks that you will have to deal with. In this case, they all passed. In fact, I think they both passed, both runs, they passed both times. So that's really good. Okay, and then finally, the AA agent review happened. The AA agent looked at the output of the full check, and it said, yeah, I like it. It's good. I can accept this. And so then what happened is this task went off to a human reviewer, in this case me. I reviewed my own task, and these are the comments I made. So the reviewer's not very happy with our task at the moment. We're going to have to resubmit, which means we'll just have to make some changes locally and then upload. And then upload the changes and then submit again. When we submit again, the automated checks will run a second time. So we'll have to wait for those to run. This is unfortunate, but we have to do this because whenever someone changes their task, there's a chance they'll introduce some bullshit. Like accidentally. Like often this happens, is that someone will make a small change and it'll actually break the whole build process and suddenly Oracle doesn't pass anymore. So we always have to run the automated checks again. The AA agent will review again, and then If it likes it, it'll pass it back to the human. The reviewer will see the old comments, it'll see the changes you made, and they'll go, okay, that's good. And they'll say, okay, you passed. So that's the review process. You can also talk to the reviewer directly, but reviewers are usually really busy. So that may not be the best way. It's usually better just to like resubmit and do what they say. Okay, one last thing. We keep a score of everyone in our community. Every time you submit something and it gets accepted, your score goes up a little bit. Every time you submit something and it ends up being rejected, your score goes down a little bit. And your score goes up a lot if you get it accepted on the first try. The second try, it still goes up a lot as well. But if you can get it submitted and the human reads it and they like it instantly, they don't need to send it back to you for review. If it gets past this stage and the human likes it on the first shot, then that gives you like heaps of points. The better score you have in our system, basically the more chance is that we'll pay you more, or might even like try to bring you onto the core team. Because we really value people who have very high standards and can create really good tasks consistently and don't waste our reviewers' time. Your score doesn't go down for failing automated checks. Automated checks, like whatever. It doesn't waste anyone's time. It's the AI. You can experiment as much as you want. But the less cycles of review you can go through, the higher your score will be. Okay, last piece of advice I can give you is just spend a little bit of time reading 2 or 3 terminal bench tasks from this terminal bench repo here. That'll give you a really good idea of what a good task looks like and what you have to do in order to pass review on the first shot. But otherwise, good luck. Best of luck with this because it's challenging. The code that you'll write will actually go into training some of the most advanced AI models on Earth. So, good luck.